Hi. So with me today is Larissa. She's based out of Southern California.
Yep.
She's a raw vegan chef. She's helping people heal, all sorts of stuff. Would you like to add to that bio?
Um, I'm just someone who's obsessed with health and wellness and spirituality, and yeah, I like to approach health from a holistic perspective.
Okay, so let's dive into this. I like to start everything off with maybe a little something non-expected. Let's go back in time a little bit. You're 15. What is life about, and what were your goals or what were your aspirations at that point in life? Or
Well, I've always been an athlete, so I was very active and fit my whole life, but I was on the standard American diet, so I was, struggling with health since I was a child. But everyone thought it was normal to just get sick all the time, have lots of aches and pains and random health conditions throughout life. Um, I was diagnosed with prediabetes when I was about 15 or 16, and
oh,
that was a
really?
huge surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was in good shape. I looked fine on the outside, but I wasn't doing too great on the inside. And so I just got put on medication, told I was going to have to take medication for the rest of my life. And yeah, I didn't know any better back then. But um, yeah,
So
I'm super.
when you say you were very athletic though at that point in time in your life, right? So when you were diagnosed pre-diabetes or pre-diabetic, did you notice? Because this happened to a friend of mine when I was about 7 or 8. Did you notice a very sharp decline in performance and that kind of stuff?
Um, no, nothing changed, but I think most people are pre-diabetic. That's the thing,
Mm.
but you just don't really get the diagnosis unless you do a specific type of blood test. But most people are walking around with insulin resistance without knowing it just due to their diet. When you
Right.
are on a standard American diet, it's almost inevitable to have these insulin and blood sugar issues, but most people just don't know about it.
Right.
So there's not really many specific symptoms to it other than prolonged periods of insulin resistance eventually leads to diabetes and other health conditions. So you know, the way that the typical medical industry addresses it just by putting you on a pill is not the right approach. It's like we just have to look at what we're doing with our diet and lifestyle and, shift that.
So did you go into like almost immediately a sort of a deep dive of investigating uh, other ways to eat?
No, not right away. At that age, I just followed the medical advice. I didn't know there was any other way.
Mhm.
It wasn't until my early 20s that I started diving into healing myself because especially with my mental health, I had just hit rock bottom and I went through a very transformative period that forced me to learn about self love for the first time in my life. And that started addressing all aspects of taking better care of myself, from my diet to learning about spirituality, meditation. Um, I was continuing to be fit and active, and yeah, everything in my life changed in my early 20s once I decided to focus on self love. And then that kind of unfolded into diet and lifestyle and changing my eating habits.
So let's talk a little bit about this journey into self-love and the different components that you took on. You were mentioning, spiritual practice, meditation, this, that, whatever. So tell us about the different things you sort of investigated, and added to your journey at that point in time.
Yeah. So at right like the pivotal moment before that, I had been in a very toxic relationship for years, and I started realizing, this isn't making me happy to be in this state where I don't feel, my needs being met. I'm not meeting my own needs. I'm being reliant on someone else who is manipulating me, like because I'm in that state where I'm not meeting my own needs. There's like some sort of dynamic, I guess, codependent dynamics and stuff that I was falling into. And I had never observed my mind or my life before until I started learning about meditation and mindfulness. And so I started taking, an approach of, okay, I'm going to start observing my mind, my thoughts, my patterns, and how my state of being is affecting how I'm living my life. And I started seeing all these unhealthy patterns that I had been embodying that were sort of programmed since childhood. And just taking this mindfulness approach of observing without judgment and having more love for myself and my circumstance. And then I started from that point shifting. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to change my thoughts and patterns. And that in turn is going to change who I am,
Mhm.
which is going to change my actions, which is going to change my life. So it really started, I think the first step for me was reading like spiritual
Right.
books. It started shifting me and I was like, whoa, okay, like this is so new, but it was so transformative. And from there, yeah, it was like I left the unhealthy relationship. I got off all my pharmaceutical medications. I was just divinely guided to learning about a plant-based diet and lifestyle that led me to learn about raw, like raw vegan diets and yeah, like it all
So,
just kind of was all at once transforming my
so at
life.
that time, you said you sort of were reading different spiritual books. Were there some that you can highlight that had more profound effect upon you at that point in time, or that you would find interesting, or that you think everybody should take a glance at and read?
Yeah, I mean, the first spiritual book I ever read is a very, very thin book. It's really quick and easy to read. I recommend it to everybody. And it's called Zen and the Art of Happiness by Chris Prentice.
It's a good one, yeah.
That was like the first time I had ever heard of the idea of observing your mind, of
Mhm.
mindfulness, of just taking, some nice slow breaths and just listening, observing how your mind is, and just beginning to like watch that process. Then you start to take your power back by
Right.
not just being a victim to your life and to your reality. It's like, oh, okay, no, like I can slow the mind down, watch what it's doing, and then be more empowered and start to like redirect that. So that was my first introduction to spirituality. And then after that, slowly started getting really into the teachings of Dr. Joe Dispenza,
Yeah.
which was, I think, the most transformative information I've ever learned. Like it's had the biggest impact on me,
Have you ever done
definitely.
one of his programs?
Yeah, I've been to 5 of his retreats now.
Oh, you
So
have, eh? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's been a huge, huge part of my spiritual
Yeah.
journey, definitely.
He's a powerful man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. So Dispenza, all of that kind of stuff. Um, and how did it transition into a plant-based lifestyle?
Um, well, that part kind of everything happened really quickly all at once in the
Hmm.
beginning. Um, when I started so I basically hit rock bottom with my mental health because of my life
Hmm.
circumstances. I was really depressed. I was living with chronic depression for almost a decade. And I I just got to the point where I was sick and tired of my own like BS. I was like, you know what?
Right.
I'm not happy in life. I can look around and just observe that there's all these things that I can change that can better my life. So once I took those actions and I don't know, I just felt divinely guided by the universe at that point. I was more in a flow state because I was stepping into embodying self-love. It invited more of that to flow into my life in ways I never imagined.
Hmm.
So it was random when it happened. I just ended up watching the documentary What the
Yeah.
Health, and
Right.
that blew my mind. I was like, because they mentioned about diabetes and stuff, and I was like, I've been lied to my whole life about diabetes, about all these diseases that we've been told are incurable. Oh, just take the medication for the rest of your life.
Right.
And it really lit up this fire and passion within me because I was kind of angry about it. Um, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this plant-based thing out just for a couple weeks just to see how I feel. And within 2 days, I was already feeling a difference and feeling amazing. So I was like, well, this is the answer I've been looking for. And I had already been a little bit health conscious leading up to that. I had been on like a paleo diet for 4 years before that. And before that, I had cut out like gluten. So there was a slow transition over the years trying to figure out, how can I eat healthier to feel better. and to look better, you
Yeah,
know, the vanity part too.
sure.
But I didn't get the results I wanted until I transitioned to fully plant-based. And then I was like trying to figure out, okay, as a vegan, what do I even eat then to like to really
Right.
thrive? And that's when I came across the raw vegan
Hmm.
diet after only like 2 weeks of being plant-based. And I was like, whoa, okay, that makes a lot of sense to me
Hmm.
coming from a paleo diet, because on paleo they don't do any like grains and
Right.
beans.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was confused in the beginning. I'm like, well, vegans eat a lot of like rice and beans, but I don't really know about that. And so when I learned that you can just eat like fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and thrive, that really resonated with me. And once I started applying that, I was like, yeah, this feels really, really, really good in my body.
Hmm. So tell us about, so sort of describe for us your raw journey and the things that you started to, because you've published, you have a couple of, you have more than a couple, you have several cookbooks or ebooks, raw ebooks available and all that kind of stuff we'll get into. But talk about, because often for all of us it's a bit of an experimentation, right? It's like, well, what are we going to do, how are we going to eat certain foods, what foods are we going to incorporate into this raw journey or whatever. So maybe talk about how that journey went for you, and what you sort of gravitated towards, and what you added, what you think is a better balance, all of those kind of things.
Yeah. Well, I feel very grateful that from the very beginning, I dove into so much research,
Mhm.
and I'm so grateful that, you know, we have these people online sharing their journeys, sharing what they eat to thrive. So I didn't struggle too much in the beginning to figure it all out as far as um, I think the most optimal way to enjoy a raw vegan diet. So once I started learning about the high carb, low fat, like the 80-10-10 style, and high fruit, especially, I was like, okay, cool. Like, you know, that makes sense to me. You know, fruit during the day, big salad at night. And I just started applying that right from the beginning. And yeah, there was a few phases, or a few, I guess, days where I would end up eating a more high fat raw vegan diet. Maybe I would go out to a raw vegan restaurant and have meals that have a lot of nuts and oils and seeds. And I would feel the difference in my body. I'm like, okay, these foods are really heavy. They don't digest as well. They're fun as a treat every now and then, but I definitely believe in the 80-10-10, high fruit, fruit during the day, and then a big salad at night. And that just came through like experiencing it in my body and feeling how good it feels.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about, because in the raw vegan world, you can be eating a high fat raw vegan, diet, or you can be doing the 80-10-10. Talk to us a little about the 80-10-10. And did you have any mentors with respect to that? Go into a little bit of detail around that, because it's very easy to to fall into sort of the high fat raw vegan scenario,
Yeah.
right?
Well, especially as someone who was coming from a past of insulin resistance, prediabetes, and in the documentary What the Health, they touch on the importance of a high carb, low fat diet in order to heal diabetes. And it's the opposite of what we're told. You know, we're told to avoid carbohydrates, to avoid sugars, especially simple sugars, even from fruit.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people like fearmonger that. And it's really the opposite. The truth is that it's excess fat, especially from oils, saturated
Right.
fats, you know, animal products. That's actually what causes diabetes. That's what causes insulin resistance. So when I started learning about that, it made so much sense to me about the 80-10-10 way of eating. I'm like, oh, okay, biologically, you know, our body wants to use sugar as fuel, you know, these
It
simple sugars from
it is
fruits.
our fuel. It is our
Yeah.
fuel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you eat a meal that has fats, protein, and carbohydrates, the 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 source of energy that the body wants to use immediately is the sugar. So
Right.
it can convert fats and proteins into glucose through a complicated process called gluconeogenesis, but that
Mhm.
just takes more time and effort and energy from the body. And that's what ends up happening when you're on these low carb diets. You're just taxing your body like it's a survival mechanism that you're living in. Like you're living in survival mode at that point. So yeah, it's just it feels more efficient to be on the high carb diet because you're just efficiently burning energy all day. And yeah, I feel like it's effortless to be lean, to be energized, to, get all the energy you need to be active, to build muscle. So it feels really, really, really amazing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people really misunderstand the whole glucose fructose thing. I mean, we are fueled by glucose, right? We're fueled by glucose fructose, and it's the simplest form of energy, and well, it's the highest form of energy for cellular energy. It's the simplest to get, and I don't think people understand that any other derivative of that or combination of that, the body has to work harder to convert, right? And in the
Mm-hmm.
conversion is where you can end up with problems, right? And that's the issue. So, were there any mentors that you gravitated towards, or people that put you onto the 80-10-10 thing, for instance?
Mm. I never worked with a specific mentor, but I was just really consuming a lot of information on the online space from people. I mean, obviously, Dr. Doug Graham is the one who's written the book, The 80-10-10 Diet. I also love Dr. Robert Morse. He's awesome.
Phenomenal.
Um, and then some of the people that I watched a lot of like YouTube videos back in the day was like Ted Carr, Fruitarian, Fully Raw Christina. Um, yeah, I love Chris Kendall from The
Chris,
Raw Advantage. He's
great.
super awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he has great
oh,
recipes. I was really inspired by his raw recipes
he's
in the
got
beginning of
phenomenal
his
stuff.
journey.
I'm going to be doing a live with him in the next couple of weeks.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, yeah.
Very interesting guy. Very interesting guy. Do you know if you were a guy by the name of the Raw Vegan Cowboy?
I haven't.
He's an interesting guy. He's about 72 years old, from California originally, musician, whatever. But he follows the 80-10-10 like forever. He's been a raw vegan for like now, I don't know, 40 plus years or whatever, right? Interesting, an interesting guy as well. Um, so, run us through a typical day for you.
Well, I take health from a very holistic approach. So, addressing mind, body, and spirit is key for me, especially like for the mental health aspect. I think it greatly affects our physical health and well-being. So I really focus on starting my day. I like having a very structured morning routine. I love to meditate like first thing when I wake up, usually about 30 minutes to an hour and a half, I'll meditate.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then shortly after that, after I hydrate a bit, then I like to do some form of activity, whether it's go on a run, do a Pilates workout, or do some yoga. Um, I just like to move my body every single day.
Mm-hmm.
It feels absolutely amazing. And then after that, I typically will shower and then have my first meal, which is usually going to be something really hydrating, either like a lot of juice or a smoothie or a big plate of fruit, like a mono meal. But I like my first meal to be like very hydrating, like a plate of oranges or melon. Um, and that is like how I get my day started. And then for lunch, I'll typically have either like a big smoothie or fruit of any type. And then dinner, I always have a really big salad. And I mean, sometimes I'll do some sort of like raw dish, like raw sushi, or I love making raw vegan pad
Mm-hmm.
thai. I have a lot of great recipes, and
Yes,
I have a
you do.
recipe
You do.
ebook, and
Yeah,
then I
you do.
have a transitioning to raw vegan guidebook
Yeah.
for people that like are starting out new and just want to learn how to transition properly and get lots of tips and all of that on how to thrive.
So, what are your thoughts on juicing versus eating fruit?
Well, of course, everything in its whole form is best,
Mm-hmm.
getting all the fiber and all of that. But I do think juice feels nice because you're getting a bunch of nutrients without having to digest.
Right.
So, I mean, people that are brand new to this lifestyle coming from a standard American diet might not be ready for like just pure fruit juice right away. It might spike their blood sugar
Mm-hmm.
too much in the beginning, which is why green juices and veggie juices are great for people transitioning and then eating whole fruit. But I feel like once you are in the state where you can metabolize sugar very efficiently, you don't have that issue anymore.
Right.
So I like juice as like a way to just pack in a ton of nutrition without having to digest so
Yeah.
much. But yeah, I feel amazing on juice.
Yeah. I think the thing with juicing is, and I'm very similar in terms of the program or the diet that we follow. I pretty well eat fruit all day in some sort of format, either juice in the beginning. I'll have a smooth. In fact, as soon as I finish this, I'll do a smoothie, right? And I'll do some sort of raw vegan meal in the evening. I'm not completely raw. I'm sort of what I don't know what they call it, high raw, which I think is. When I first heard that term, I thought, wow, does that mean you're like even more super raw than whatever? But it's not.
High on life, raw.
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of a funny term, but I think juicing has its thing in the detox form, right? In terms of if you're going on a detoxification program, which, as you know, myself, Marcus, and several others just completed, and I think you're going to be doing or jumping on one shortly.
Mm-hmm.
Juicing has its place, right? And because it is very detoxifying and cleansing in that sense, right? But I think there is a balance in terms of actually eating, you know, whole fruit to get all the benefits of the fiber and everything else. Absolutely. So, are, are you going on a little journey here shortly?
Yeah, definitely. I like to, I guess, embrace the seasons. And so I like to do a little bit of a spring cleaning every
Mm-hmm.
year.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I feel the most called to do like parasite cleanses and juice cleanses. I like to do them like a couple times a year, but in the springtime is definitely when I feel the calling the most. So
Right.
yeah, definitely planning to hop on a juice cleanse and do some parasite cleansing as well here soon, which I'm very excited about.
Well, just a shout out here to Ali. Thanks for joining. Yeah, well, I love it that it's spring there because it's dead of the winter here still.
Oh,
So, so yeah. So now, are you going to do it's kind of an open-ended thing you're doing at this point in time, right? I mean, it maybe 30, maybe more, maybe whatever. Is that correct? Do I have is that my understanding? Is my understanding correct on that?
yeah, yeah. I told myself, 30 days or more, so we'll see how it goes. It might end up being longer, but I'm excited.
I might jump on board for 15 days or 20 days again and see how it goes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marcus said he was gonna do a little bit of cleansing too,
Yes.
because after he got off his cleanse, we've been indulging a bit more, and
Yeah, we're
it's
going to
been
talk.
nice.
I'm having Marcus on a Monday. We're going to talk about the refeeding process.
Yeah, well, honestly, he refed really well. Like
He did.
we were hanging out like every day, and I'm like, okay, just fruit today. Like he's like, yeah, you know, he was definitely feeling good on like just fruit for the first few days, which is so important. And then transition to some like salads, and then we're like, oh, let's go to Peace Pies, let's go to Alog, let's go to Wild Living Foods, like all the places with amazing delicious food.
I think
But
I think the Thai Deva got to him at some point in time.
yeah, Thai food. But yeah, it's been fun. I think it's because also like we both were not on a cleanse and we're like, oh, let's
Yeah,
enjoy it. And then
absolutely. Yeah,
we can,
yeah.
re-cleanse our bodies anytime.
Now, because this has been such an important part of my life in term, and still is the spiritual component. Are you doing any specific type of meditation? Are you doing Joe's meditations, or are you doing a combination of stuff? What are you doing in terms of your meditative practice?
Well, that's a good question because I like to take the approach of not just considering my meditation being the time of day where I'm sitting down and doing a meditation, but I prefer to see it more so as I invite meditation into all aspects of my life. So even when I'm
Yeah,
making a juice, it's a
yeah,
meditation. When I'm on a run, it's a meditation. But as far as like the guided meditations I do, most days it's a Dr. Joe Dispenza guided meditation. Sometimes it's a breath work practice. I love doing Breathe with Sandy on YouTube. Like
okay.
his breath works are amazing. So sometimes I'll do that instead of a typical guided meditation. But yeah, definitely Dr. Joe Dispenza's his just take me to another level. Like
Yeah,
it just it just really helps me get where I want to be in my meditation. So yeah, that's my go-to for sure.
Now, you've always been physical throughout your life. So are there certain, obviously you're a runner, but are there other things that, and you've mentioned yoga, you mentioned Pilates, um, are those the three big ones that you go to all the time? How do you incorporate those into your lifestyle?
Mm. Yeah, I definitely I used to be more of a gym girl. Like I
Oh, yeah.
still enjoy, lifting weights and all of that, but I've recently fallen in love with Pilates and I've always really been into yoga too. Um, I just prefer the amount of mobility it gives my body, like the stretching and I get less like tight and achy in comparison to doing the very like robotic movements of lifting weights. But I kind of have a routine where I like to go on a run one day, then I like to, do Pilates the next day and then do yoga the next day. It's not always in that order, but I just like to have a rotation each day. And I
Mhm.
do actually do yoga every day just so that I'm stretching every day.
Yeah, yeah.
But my rest day is like just yoga usually. Um, but yeah, I think it's really important to have the combination of strength building, of stretching and mobility, and of cardiovascular exercise. And it was really interesting. A huge reason I knew I was on the right path when I went plant based. 2 weeks in, when I really just, or actually only a few days in, when I was really like, just observing how it felt in my body. I was running a lot at that time, and for the first time in my life, I could finally just like breathe. Like I could have the expansion of my lungs. My cardiovascular health just I felt like I could just keep going. And I was never really a big runner before that because I always struggled with like being able to get enough breath. Um, so that was a huge thing I just observed just from being on a plant-based diet was like the cardiovascular health and also the recovery, like the way my muscles recover after a workout has drastically improved. I think it's because of the anti-inflammatory benefits and just the efficiency of like the glucose,
Mhm.
replenishing the glycogen in the muscles and the efficiency of taking in all these amino acids rather than these structured proteins.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah, it's been great to see that transformation.
I think it's an interesting observation from a body, mind, spirit, body, mind, soul perspective. When you get into um, into a place in your life where your spiritual practice is running, you have a physicality, whether it be calisthenics, yoga, this, whatever, there's breath work, whatever, there's cardiovascular activity, and your diet is, you're fueling yourself in the most optimal way. How much easier all those things are. you know they
Yeah.
they just kind of flow in the way they're meant to be, right? And not to say they're not hard work, but there's a different mindset around the whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know when I get on the mat, when I'm at my optimum, it's just a whole different practice. It's a whole
Mm-hmm.
practice,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah, definitely. People always tell me like, "Oh, you're so disciplined. Like how do you just do all these things?" And I always tell people it's not discipline for me. Like I really only do what I want to do. Like
I think
I'm
I
kind of a pleasure seeker in that way. And I eat healthy, I move my body, I meditate, I do all these things because I want to. Like it feels good. I'm addicted to it. Like it's not really like something I have to struggle and be like, "Oh, today I'm going to work out even though I don't want to," or I'm going to sit down and meditate even though I don't want to. I don't do that, but I get that it's not easy to get to that place for everybody,
Mhm.
but over time, especially when it's rooted in self-love, when it's all about, wanting to be the best version of yourself, to feel good, to show up better, for your loved ones and for the world, like that's what drives me. So it's not discipline for me. It's just like enjoying life, like feeling
I
good.
think that's such an interesting point, an interesting observation where you're doing it because there's a love and a joy for it, not that it's like I have to,
Yeah.
right?
So I don't see it as
It's
hard either.
right.
Like it's enjoyable.
Yeah, it becomes part of your life. Like, I don't sit down anymore and go, well, I have to meditate for this amount of time, right? Or I'm setting a time. Some days it's going to be this, some days it's that, but it's just always a good experience, right?
Hmm.
And And I think that's the big difference, the big observational difference is that it's about, there's a love for it, right? There's a passion. There's not like, oh, geez, I got to work out today, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us a little bit about some of your offerings.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So,
on all of this, because I know you have some ebooks to talk about that and some of the services and some of the things you offer everybody.
yeah, definitely. Um, so going back to your one of your first questions about what my life was like when I was 15, um, at that age, I've had this passion for food my whole life, and I wanted to be a chef
Mm-hmm.
out of like going out of high school into college. I went to culinary school, became a chef, worked as a chef in the industry for like 6 years, fell in love with health and wellness during that journey and decided, okay, this is no longer serving me working in this environment, but I still love food and now I love health and wellness. And so I still get to, you know, express my love and creativity for the culinary arts through the raw vegan lifestyle. And I got really into like, you know, playing around with recipes and enjoying the raw cuisine. So I put together a raw vegan recipe ebook that is offered in the link in my bio. You can go to my website and check that out. And then I also, like I mentioned, I have a raw vegan transitioning guide
Mm-hmm.
that will transform your life. So you can get it in a bundle, those two ebooks. And yeah, it basically just goes in depth into all the details and intricacies of how to thrive on a raw vegan lifestyle and yeah, all these different tips about health and wellness. Um, and then, yeah, I offer one-on-one coaching. We can do like a 6-week program and it will transform your life. Um,
So
and then, yeah,
give us some of the details of the one-on-one.
yeah. So, uh, if you don't already have my ebooks, I just gift them. It's a gift for all my
Mm-hmm.
clients. And then if you already do have the ebooks, you can get a discount for my coaching, since you already bought the ebooks. Um, and yeah, so I basically just offer like one-on-one calls and we go deep into everybody's different. So it's very like tailored to each person's situation. We just develop like this, you know, deep connection so that I can like really help you and guide you in exactly what your needs are with your lifestyle, your schedule, what your goals are. Maybe you want to be high raw, maybe you want to be fully raw, maybe you're just learning about veganism for the first time and you're transitioning. So wherever you're at, like we're just gonna, because I believe in a more slower transition. Like some people do want to dive right into a juice cleanse, and that's what one of my clients that I'm working with right now, like that was her approach, and that's what she was really passionate about doing. So I can coach you through a juice cleanse or just a slower transition, whatever you're looking for. But you get my guide, which is like it goes really deep into like I've had people that I've worked with, like they ask me a bunch of questions and then I always answer and then they start reading my guidebook and then they're like, "Oh, actually every question I had is in this book." So, thank you so much for that. But I know that some people need that constant like reinforcement into like, you know, "Oh, but I'm worried about protein. Oh, but like should I drink is it okay to drink coffee?" Like all these questions that we can go deep into. But first and foremost too is mindset. That's a huge key that I work with people on is like embodying this new version of yourself. Like, you know, so doing things like meditating, writing affirmations, becoming a new version of yourself is also key to succeeding
Mm-hmm.
because if you don't change your thought patterns and your, you know, limiting beliefs and all these types of things, you're never going to change your actions. So your life is never going to change. So that's another thing that I really love working with people on is the mindset. Otherwise, you know, nothing really changes or shifts.
No, yeah, you have to want to. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. But I think like I have definitely some plans that are unfolding about doing like a group cleanse here soon. So that could be really fun. We're still in the planning stages with that, but you know, it's cleansing season, so that could be a lot of fun doing like a cleanse with a group of people that want to be coached through it. So I'm in the process of organizing something like that too.
Oh, very cool. Cool. So, how can anybody get a hold of you?
Well, you can follow me over on Instagram. I have the link to my ebooks in my bio. I'm also on YouTube. I've been taking a little bit of a break, but I'm coming back to making YouTube videos really soon here. But I've been like living nomadically and traveling a lot for the past 4 years, so there's a lot of fun travel adventures over there that you can check out. Um, and yeah, I just love sharing my life and passion with you all. So definitely go subscribe over there and follow me over here.
Okay,
And
so tell everybody what your Instagram handle is.
it's I am Larissa May.
Okay, and your YouTube?
Uh, it's the same. I believe when you do like the tag, like the
Yeah.
at, it's I am Larissa May as well. May, M-A-E.
Okay, cool. And what would you like to leave us with?
Um, I would love to say that the key to succeeding in in all aspects of life is focusing on self-love first and foremost. When you move through life rooted in a deep love for yourself, and you can look around you and see everything is a projection of that internal place. So when you have more beauty inside and more love inside, you'll see it more on the outside, and you'll have more inspiration to, do better for yourself. And then you'll start to want to overflow that into other people's lives too. So it starts with you. You can make the change, and you have the power. You just got to tap into that love in your heart, and the rest will unfold effortlessly.
Well, I think that's a great way to wrap this up. I want to thank you very much for taking the time. It's been a pleasure. It's been great to meet you virtually. And I have her ebook. It's got some phenomenal recipes in it. So check everything else that Larissa has to offer. And it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. Yeah, this was great. And thank you all for watching.
Thanks again.
Yep. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.